everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Glowhood podcast. On today's episode, we have Lila Brown, who is the owner and of EMG Group, so Ella B Media Group. We have her here with us. Thank you for joining us. Thank you so much for everything. Thank you for being so flexible. And right now we're just going to get into a little bit of her background and then we'll continue from there. So Lila.
Lila.
Lila, so sorry. Hi Lila, how are you?
Yes, hi, I'm well. How are you? I know it's been a long time coming and I just wanted to thank you for being so supportive and, always chiming in when I'm making my post, and you never know who is reaching and who is going out to. So I was just thank you for your support.
Oh yeah, thank you, of course, because I love your posts. You always post like interesting things. I didn't know that you had people who are in the Olympics, so I was like, okay. You post, Black History facts, and I'm like, good. Things that I wouldn't know. They don't teach us that in school. So before we get into the crux of the interview, I just want to ask, where are you from? What was your upbringing, and how did you get to this point, pretty much?
Great, yeah. So I'm originally from Kansas City, Missouri. Okay. And, grew up in Dallas, Texas, finished high school and college in Atlanta, Georgia, attended HBCUs. But my upbringing in Kansas City was very crucial. I attended magnet programs all throughout my, my grade school. So elementary school, I had a magnet program that I entered into. It was mass communications and writing magnet. So I was learning at a very early age how to write for the news, do, media arts and things like that. And so from there, middle school and high school was classical Greek magnet, which focused on the Olympic sports. So our curriculum could consist of academics on one side, but then fencing and swimming and diving and gymnastics on the other. That was part of, you could get a grade in gymnastics.
Right.
Those programs have been, since defunded, unfortunately, but I do have hope that we can get them back going, sports academies. And so when it was time for me to pick a major at college, I went to Fort Valley State University, a HBCU in Georgia. I saw that they had a journalism program, and that was interesting to me, but I saw that I could also concentrate in public relations. And so, I kind of knew a little bit about public relations from watching Sex and the City.
Right.
I was like, I think that's what I kind of want to do, because I like that she worked with media. But when I found out more about it, I said, I think I could do this, be a liaison between public audiences and media corporations, just kind of serve as that middle person. So I entered it into college. I found out that I loved it through internships. I had really great mentors. I graduated in 2008 from college, height of the recession. There were massive layoffs, and I was like, okay, I don't think I'm gonna get a job in this economy. But again, my mentors just encouraged me to create the job that I wanted. So I had all this internship experience. I saw that there was a need in my community in terms of small businesses and entertainment brands and entertainers, musicians, athletes that needed, somebody that has some expertise in the field. So, immediately my network opened up to me, connections, references, and that's how I got my first client, which was an independent film. And I remember Jasmine Lewis. I always talk about her. She's an actress, and I was following all the actors in the movie trying to promote this independent film. And I remember one time she said, "Hey, I'm coming to Atlanta." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm trying to promote this independent film. You're in the film. Can I get you some publicity while you're out here?" And she was like, "Yeah." So I got her on Good Day Atlanta.
Okay.
And so Girl, publicists in LA don't even do this for me. So she immediately got rid of her team, hooked me up with all the Black actresses out here, just on a friendly basis with a Vivica Fox and, just so many amazing actresses. And so I just decided to make the move and come out to Los Angeles, and I haven't looked back since.
That's awesome. I love that. I so love that you were able to use, your networking to be able to propel yourself into this field. And I know that from what I've researched, that you are probably the only Black-owned media group. Is that in all of LA or in the industry?
space servicing both winter and summer Olympians. So I do want to give a shout out. There is a track and field agent named Kim Holland out of Atlanta, Icon Sports Management Group. And so she's amazing. She has track and field on lock. So if ever I needed a track and field client, I'm like, Kim, can I do some PR for your client? She's just got a plethora. So I have worked with other Black-owned sports agencies. I love working with them. But when Olympic space representing synchronized swimmers, divers, I even had a kayak athlete. I've had a rowing athlete at one point. These athletes, at the end of the day, they know that they need somebody that's hip and cool on the trends. They know what's next. You know, we bring the culture. So a lot of athletes, multicultural, not just Black athletes, but just a variety of athletes, they just trusted us. And so, you know, if there's something I could do for them, I proved my work. The Olympic sports is more so based on commission work, and publicity is more retainer based. So I've had a lot of agents in the game tell me, like, I envy your business model because you get to make money off commissions and retainer. And I was like, that's retail. You make your base pay, but then you also make commission. So I have business model to my media group, and wow, right now we have NBA clients. I've worked with NFL clients such as Colin Kaepernick at this point.
Wow.
Okung, who is the first NFL player to be paid in Bitcoin entirely.
Oh,
Nigerian. Wow. So very, very smart man. But I've had such a diverse range of athletes. And at the end of the day, whether they work with me for years or just for a few campaigns, I instill in them some sense of purpose to let them know what they're doing is so much bigger than sport. And so I really like to think that I instill that into someone like a Colin Kaepernick. And my gosh, the things that he has done for the culture and representing. So I like to think, you know, when you go off to the corners and you have the little Black power talks, you don't know where it's going to go. But for some people, it resonated. And I'll just say this about Colin Kaepernick. When he lost that Super Bowl, but I still treated him like he was $1 billion athlete. Brought him to Los Angeles, introduced him to the Hollywood crowd, and it has served him. Now he's done work with Ava DuVernay and things. Now he's doing something with Spike Lee coming up. So, just to let him know, you may have lost, but I was raised to always cheer for the Black quarterback. So my mom just built that in me. I grew up loving sports. My cousin is Barry Sanders. So it's just sports. It's just always been in my family. But to let him know that the community has you, and like I said, the dividends that has paid out, I think is enormous.
Right. And I love that. And I want to get into why you decided to go into sports media management as opposed to, other forms of management.
Oh, because it's $1 billion industry. It's proof. And it's a industry that I saw that our brothers were participating and our sisters, amazing athletes and, WNBA, track and field, gymnastics. You see that today. But maybe 10 years ago, a Gabby Douglas did not look feasible. When I first started, I met Gabby probably in about 2012. Okay. And I said, you're going to be the next Dominique Dawes. I told her and her mother. And she's like, really? I was like, I think you're going to be better. And then when I on bios, I told her, you're going to be better than Gabby Douglas. And she's like, I said, you're going to be the Serena Williams of your sport. You're going to be labeled the queen of gymnastics. Right. It's just, I love sports. I personally love sports. And so if there was anything that I could pursue, of course, I love music and fashion. And I've been able to combine that. But my core has been sports because I don't think people realize all that it takes. There's uniforms, so that's fashion and merchandising. Okay. And, there's food and beverage. There's the stadium that includes a lot of municipal and city planning and things like that. Like in Atlanta, they just built a new stadium. That took a community effort. So I just saw how hands-on and how sports can bring together entire cities. It may divide cities. You cheer for your certain team, right. But I feel like I made the right choice. I'm in LA, and when I was here, there was no NFL team, but I kept my ear to the street. I volunteered for a lot of NFL all access type of events and helped bring an NFL team here and advocate to say, no, LA would love a team. And then for us to go Super Bowl, for the Los Angeles Olympics to be coming here in 2028. I just feel like the vision, I just followed my passion. And again, like I said, attending a classical Greek school where it was based all on Olympic sports. And then having that communication beginning in my childhood, I was able to combine all of that. And like I said, it's $1 billion industry. It's recession proof. So I think I made the right choice.
I think you did too. I think you did too. So now I want to get into a little bit about how, like, your day-to-day things and how you manage clients, how do you acquire clients? And obviously you don't have to give any trade secrets, obviously, but you know, for someone who's trying to get into the industry, who has no idea where to start, how would you advise them on, you know, beginning to get their foot in the door?
Yeah, so basically for anyone that, you know, may not have that focus, there's so many, like when I was a younger girl, I knew I was gonna work in the NFL or sports. I said, I'll be an accountant for the NFL.
Okay.
I was like, accounting is boring. You may not want to do that. You're too sociable for that. But there's so many avenues. If you care about the community, there's a community relations department. If you care about sponsorship and marketing, you really like working on deals, I mean, there's nothing like the endorsement deals that come out of sports. So I saw our brothers and sisters really dominating, but maybe didn't have that professionalism that they needed. So we talk a lot about, you know, representation, but that's mainly in front of the camera. We never think about representation behind the scenes. Right. So I just find a professional service. But from there, I've been able to represent supermodels, take a gymnast, such as Anastasia Generalova, and translate her into a Wilhelmina model. She's doing campaigns for Stuart Weitzman and Balmain now, you know, doing Tory Burch sport, you know. So again, that vision was, I see something there, it's not being tapped into. I got the first ever track and field shoe deal for Under Armour with Natasha Hastings. So again, trying to make these worlds collide. And when starting again, there was no athleisure. But now you see Christian Louboutin, you see Gucci and Prada, they got sneakers now. Right. Sportswear. So I just thought, you know, all these different ways you might want to get involved. Legally, if you want to get into, you know, a lawyer, but half of the profession is writing and negotiating contracts. So again, you want to get into a lucrative industry. Music, when I was pretty much matriculating through college, it was kind of going down because Napster and and artists were getting into 360 deals. So I just didn't see it as something that was viable. And fast forward to today, you'll hear a Dame Dash say there's no money in music. Oh, wow. You know, there's really no money in music. And I think Azalea Banks just put out some statistics a few days ago about how streaming services are paying pennies on the dollar. Yeah, they are. That work at Spotify make more than an individual artist. So, you know, when I'm looking at $1 billion stadiums being built, and I see $1 million athlete endorsement deals, I'm like, I want in on that. And so my job is just to bridge the gap. My day-to-day, like you were asking, it varies. But when you have a client that's hot, like a Jalen Green, they to me, or a Kyle Kuzma, they find their way to me, and I just manage requests. But when I kind of things are getting slow, then I become more proactive. I'm identifying, oh, you should probably work with this company, or I'm constantly reaching out. Hey, would you be interested in this athlete? I have to follow a lot of marketing trends. So if I all of a sudden crypto is becoming a huge thing in sports, then I'm going to be the person to say, hey, what do you think about using some of my athletes or clients for, you know, marketing endorsements, or become a spokesperson? So it's, you have to be a visionary. If you have a great and creative idea, as long as you're providing solutions, a lot of the corporations that I work with, they are thankful because I make their jobs easier. You know, I'm like, here's a client that you may not even know you need. Constantly knowing what the industry wants and then delivering. So if you know that there's a need, be creative, try, you'll be surprised. I have a lot of friends that'll ask, how did you come up with that idea? Or how did you come up with that campaign? And it was just really me just having these creative ideas and just going for it. And then the person on the receiving end is like, this is genius, let's try it. But other than that, it's just a lot of, I field a lot of incoming requests because I have some really hot clients. And I get requests from TMZ, Entertainment Tonight. Sometimes my clients are doing crazy things out there, or doing some things that are kind of ambiguous. And I've had so many instances where TMZ will call me and be like, what do you think about your client doing this? And I'm like, it's 6:00 in the morning. I didn't even know they did that. But get back with you and see if we can get you a statement.
Right.
Times when athletes get in trouble, I become super uber famous. So some days the same, but some days are slower than the other. But those days that I'm slow, I become way more proactive. Just a lot of outreach.
Okay, that's awesome. And I hope everybody, if you're interested in this, I hope you took notes. Okay. So also I want to also try and get into why you feel like, or I want to get your opinion on this. As a Black woman in this field, do you see a lot of other Black women in this field? And if not, do you see a need for more Black women to be representing sports, to be representing like media in general? Like, do you feel like there's a high demand, or do you feel like right now we're trying to move into that space because of the visibility of the internet and things like that?
I definitely see an increase.
Okay.
But I see it more so on the media side. You'll see a Carrie Champion and Jamel Hill. They'll go on and get their own like show on CNN Plus. That's amazing. But I think when I started, there's an agent. I think her name is Agent Nicole Lynn. I think she's with Cash. She was with Cash Money Sport, and I think now she's over at Clutch. I'm just not sure. I don't really keep up. But still, to me, I'm sorry. I have big expectations. I'm very ambitious. I want to see us owning agencies. Not or I think that's going to be the wave. I would love to see a whole lot more of us being independent and doing what we have to do. I just read something about Kyrie Irving's mother is now his sports agent. She's the Black woman in the NBA that's a sports agent. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. So I know that we exist, but if we're representing the NBA, I mean, I know we'll go get the licensing, but are we getting those top tier clients? So, and what she's doing as a sports agent, independent, I love it. I know that we're out there in terms of working for agencies, but sometimes that you got to be a team player. You don't get to really be, your own individual self. When I started, I mean, I can say my agency is older than Rock Nation Sports. I get to say that my agency is older than Clutch Sports. And so I remember I was having an interview with the Sports Business Journal. And in the middle of the interview, my interviewer was like, oh my gosh, Jay-Z is now a sports agent. And I'm like, what? And Jay-Z had partnered with CAA Sports. So at the time we had maybe the only other Black NFL agent was Eugene Parker. And then he has since passed. But before he passed, he consolidated his agency to Relativity, which is like a whole media production company. These are like the Harvey Weinsteins of the Hollywood world, right? So imagine a Jay-Z partner with a Harvey Weinstein. It's a thing. Right. But what is, a lot of us, when we come into this industry, we're partnering with them. And that's not any ownership equity for us. So I would love to see more independence instead of us just working for them, because they can hire and fire you upon will and as they please. Yeah. And so I would love to see more of that. And so I'm still expanding, I'm still growing. I'm 13 years in, but I'm ready to start. Like, I didn't have any capital investment. Every dollar that I made, I had to put it right back into my agency. Going forward, I would like to probably participate in more grant award, winning programs, enroll in my agency that way so we can expand. Because the things that I want to see in others, I'm just gonna have to do it myself. And that's about being an independent business owner. If the industry is reacting too slow and they're not being realistic about the changes that are happening across the United States, then I'm just going to have to be that change I want to see in the world. Right. So that's much where I am right now.
That's awesome. Okay. Thank you for your input and everything. Thank you for your opinion, because I feel like that's also, I see it, but not in the sports agency realm, but I do see it like in general, like, as you know, like with influencers, where Black influencers get significantly less opportunities and significantly less pay as opposed to, other influencers, especially their white counterparts. So I just wanted to really see if, like, I know it's across the board.
About that, because let me tell you, we have some things we call in the negotiation world called favorite nations. So one time my clients were offered $10,000 a piece. I had 2 in a deal, and I was just like, this is not good enough. And they said, well, this is favorite nations. And I said, well, who are the other athletes? There was a Lindsey Vonn. So let's say Lindsey Vonn had negotiated $25,000 for this little gig or what this commercial we were doing. If she raises the bar to $25,000, then that raises everybody. So if I want that, I want $50,000, then that means all athletes get $50,000. Right. I think more agents should advocate for that. Let's break the bank. You want our clients, then let's do something about it. Right. So you could always get into those deals. And because I represent multiple clients, like I don't have ever just one athlete in one sport. I'm always going to represent multiple, so I can know, the pay scale and how it is. I had an athlete, once he won an NBA championship with the Lakers, his rates went through the roof. They couldn't afford him anymore. But for the companies that could, those were really good deals. So all about what your agent can negotiate. But if you have an agent that doesn't necessarily look like you, they're not gonna care. They're just not. They're like, whatever. It's a typical cookie cutter deal. Just insert athlete here, and then next year insert athlete here. They don't really. Whereas someone like me, I'm like, no, you're gonna pay my athlete what they're worth. It's just the conviction. Oh, it's just the principle of the matter.
So just getting people to really see their value and getting their agents and people around them to also see their value to be able to give them
and also having athletes that won't undermine you. So because sometimes it gets really nasty during negotiation in terms of a lot of back and forth, and sometimes they got to go back to their investors and see if they can even afford what we're proposing or what we're countering with. And then all athletes that know that they're worth that, and not say, oh, I'm okay with just taking a low level deal, not when I'm out here fighting on your behalf. So the athletes have to trust me, and I have to believe in them as an athlete. So it's a two-way street.
It's just two-way street. Okay, perfect. Thank you for putting that out there, because I really want people to actually understand how everything works. I feel like there needs to be a change overall, because historically we have not been able to get our worth as a people. So I want us to, from this year going, everybody's like, if you're worth $50,000 for a small gig, then you should be getting that. Don't take a penny less. And I want everyone to know that, especially the people who are making the higher end of the things. And if they're taking the lower deals, it doesn't really help the people who are on the come up, who are barely getting any deals anyways. They're gonna obviously go for whatever they're offered, because they don't even know what this pay scale is. Correct. And how would you say, with transparency and everything, is there a way that we can make things a little bit more transparent? So people who are coming into the industry who have no idea how much they should be getting paid or how much they should be negotiating these deals for, where they know okay, if even though I'm new and I have no experience, or I haven't won any championships, I haven't done anything notable, but I know that I'm a great athlete, I know that I can definitely make their investment double, triple, or quadruple, or however much, is there a way that people can know that, okay, if you're coming in at this deal, doesn't matter what your experience is, this is the floor, and the floor should be, let's say, 50.
Well, that's where agents have to work together. I know people think that we're all competitive, but that's where we got to sit and talk. And sometimes some agents are braggadocious, and they're probably, just exaggerating. But we really do have to talk to each other. A lot of the Olympic sports agents, we are really good. Hey, what did they do? But other than that, the deal is supposed to be confidential. Right. We're not supposed to. I will tell you this: at the height of summer 2020, when everything was going on with the racial reckoning, George Floyd protests and things like that, a lot of people in corporate took the initiative to say, well, I'll give you Condé Nast, for example, and all their publications and titles, or all these people that work in media, they finally said, enough is enough. I'm going to give you my age, my race, and my job title, and I'm going to tell you how much I made. So you literally, they put it on a Google Doc. Everybody in the industry flooded this Google Doc, put their job title, how long they've been there, they put their pay, and then they put some notes. And I'm just sitting there reading, and I kind of saw some pay discrepancies, but I kind of saw it leveling out. It just varied. But that was the people, the workers coming together and saying, let's let the world know whether this is real or not. And what we got to do, we got to analyze it for ourselves. And in some, I said, okay, this Black woman, she's making more than this white boy over here. That's great. But we know chances are that she'll probably end up training her subordinate, and the subordinate will then take over her job. Right. So that's why I love, people like Elaine Welteroth, who was at Teen Vogue magazine, but then she got fired, right? And I don't want to see that. I want to see our brothers and sisters grow. I want to see them matriculate through these industries. I don't like to see them getting fired because I think they still have an amazing job that they can do. So, I mean, she's gone on to do some amazing things, and that was probably a blessing in disguise. But at the same time, I would love to see us all be a little bit more transparent about what's happening in the industry. And it's just going to take more conversation and people being open and honest about what's happening to us behind the scenes.
Right. Okay. And then circling back to what you said earlier with independence, how would you say collectively that we can start creating our own agencies, our own publications, our own, media outlets and things like that, that will actually gain enough recognition and enough notoriety for us to be on the level of the well-established ones that we see today?
I think support those that are already doing. Try to create space and opportunities, partnerships. I offer mentorship programs. I offer apprenticeships. Anything that I could do, especially young people. I'm always consulting young business owners and always advocating for public relations as well. So for those that are interested, they're gonna have to be proactive. They're gonna have to reach out. Don't be too afraid. If there's someone that you admire in the industry, I love Instagram. Right. I think about recruiting. Instagram right now, oh my God. I mean, it's just because, for one, if it's somebody that I like, I'll follow them for a while just to make sure that's the personality and the characteristics that I look for in a quality client. But just building relationships over time. We're gonna have to expand. I encourage more business ownership. When I do talk to people, like, if I really ever got to sit down with a Jamil Hill, I want to see her own more things as opposed to just celebrating being at CNN Plus. Same thing with Don. That's great, you're at CNN Plus, but where's your ownership equity?
Right.
What can behind as part of your legacy? And so until we really start talking about the importance of ownership, I don't think they're really going to get it. We're just going to celebrate tokenism and being hired, which is great, I guess. But at the end of the day, if that company decides that it doesn't want to have diversity and inclusion anymore, then we're done with that.
Right.
But for people like me, multicultural diversity and inclusion will always be top priority.
That's good. Amen. I was talking about to say amen, because I feel like that's very important. I feel like, as people who are already very open, it's always good to have diversity because, different minds can come up with different solutions to different problems. So I feel like it's better to have more than less. So I've never really understood why everything was always like, if you're not part of this specific group, or if you don't have this train of thought, you can't be here. And it's like, but how are you guys going to solve the problem? Like, if you don't know, everyone's thinking the same way, like, you might want to meet, get more.
At some point, the truth will hit you, the solutions, when you try every other way and it's still not working. And the truth is just sitting there very coy and humble. At some point, you have to implement what's right. And so I have learned to not be that barking dog in the agency, like, hey, you need to do this, or in the industry, like, hey, you guys should try that. I've learned to allow people to grow and mature and to come up with their own conclusions. I might plant the seed, but it's gonna have to mature and manifest on its own. And so I think eventually, I'll say this, Allison Felix, I had the opportunity to meet her last week at the Time Women of the Year event. And I said, Allison, we've been waiting for this. We've been waiting for you to speak out. As long as she was a Nike endorsed athlete, she was I'm just here to run track and field. But when Nike let her go, or it just didn't work out, then she probably felt the freedom. She told me, she was like, I didn't know if I should speak out. I'm like, girl, you are the most decorated Olympian of all time.
Literally.
All time. So male or female. So what do you mean? I think she might even go for a world championship this year, but she didn't even realize that she had a voice. So I'm starting to realize everybody's not as bold and courageous as me. A lot of people don't think that their voice even matters. So I just like to empower people, like, no, your voice matters and you have more power than what you realize. And so if we could just support one another. I'm the type of person, when I'm on Instagram, TikTok, social media, I'm double tapping, I'm liking, I'm commenting on everybody's stuff. Because I really know for our influencers, we need social media engagement. We need that love. So let's follow the accounts that we hate. Let's follow the people that we love. If we follow those that we love, and you would develop a love following instead of a hate following, sponsors love that. You could get so much more in life showing love. If you just follow Baller Alert and Shade Room and you're just there for the gossip, you won't get anything out of that. But if there's particular brands and people that you like, I'm the type of marketer, and there's a lot of corporations out there as well. Like, oh, we have a super fan on our Instagram. Every time we post something, they're the first to comment. They're sharing our stuff. Why not fly them out for a free getaway or a vacation, or give them backstage access? So the industry is starting to realize those super fans that are always there commenting, those people are going to go far. Those accounts, those profiles, those people are going to actually be more absolved by the how do I say this? They'll be embraced by the industry. They'll be more embraced, and this may be cross collaborations, cross promotions that you can do. So let's get into following what we love as opposed to following who we hate just so we can be all up in the comment section and sharing negative comments. Let's show more love, because I promise you, the way marketing is going, the people that show love are going to be embraced. They're going to be encouraged and supported.
Right. And I love that. I love how, because there's this one YouTuber who I follow occasionally, and he always says, you know, spread love because there's too much hate in this world. And it's like, it's true. You know, if you're always doing negative things, that's what you attract. If you're always doing positive things, that's what you'll attract. I spoke about this in previous episodes of this show. So I love that that's also applicable to like real life industry and real life relations, because how else are you going to be able to get far if you're always hating on somebody, as opposed to, if you don't like them, just disengage. You don't need to be in their mix.
And a lot of the companies and marketing companies that do a lot of social media, digital marketing, they actually are starting to learn that the Kim K's of the world are not their targets anymore for sponsorship, because she's not in the comment section saying thank you and like posts and saying, oh, great point, or oh, you know, you're welcome, and things like that. You know, it's those micro influencers that they're going after now. The people that are thank you and engaging with their the comment section. Those accounts have high engagement, and brands want to interact with those first, because the fans are the potential consumers and customers and clients.
Right.
So if you are somebody out there, you might not have the big following. You think, oh, I can't get sponsorship, I only have 10,000 followers. Brands are actually looking for you more so, because you are more likely to be seen as authentic and more engaging than somebody that has 8 million followers and they don't even have the nerve to tell their client or their fans thank you, or have, you know, in the comments section they have the little heart.
You can like it.
Or you can pin comments. If you're not doing that, sponsors are like, that's low engagement. You're just here for the post ads, the sponsored ads, and that's going by the wayside. That's fading out right now.
Right. And I actually do see that. And I think that that's a good direction for the industry in general to go to, because it is more engaging if you're actually commenting, or if you're actually interacting with the people who are interacting with you. Like, it makes sense. It's just like real relation. Like, you're not going to just, I guess an example would be like, you know, if you do see like a huge celebrity and they don't even say hi, they don't acknowledge your presence at all, but somebody who's smaller who'll be like, hey, how are you? You know, thank you so much and stuff. Like, it's the same thing online. So I think that's a great, that's a great shift that I think we're slowly going towards. And I like that. I really do like that.
I do too.
I'm an influencer, so I like
right. Or the next wave.
I like that. So I wanted to also ask you about like entrepreneurship in general, running your own business. You are an owner of a small, not even small actually, you're an owner of a Black media group. So can you let us know how you manage that, how you got into that, and how you like the everyday entrepreneurial things that you go through?
Yeah, it's the same thing, just graduating into the economic recession, and then knowing that, you know, because of recessions and so much back and forth, I would be susceptible to being hired and then fired. You know, sometimes the last person hired is the first person fired. Right. And that's just the way to live. That causes a lot of anxiety. And so even throughout the pandemic, I was able to still kind of just hone in on my skills, maybe get back to the basics on some things. But honestly, I'll say right now, things are pivoting and things are changing. So billionaire Byron Allen, he is on this crusade for Black-owned media groups, Black-owned media companies, newspapers, what have you, to get more advertising. He said that less than 8%, not even 10% of all marketing budgets, advertising budgets are going towards Black-owned media. That's billions of dollars that are being left on the table. Wow. So I also follow the industry leaders, you know, like I said, it's about sometimes supporting one another, you know, so I'm not where he is. I don't own the Weather Channel or any media, but I support him, brothers like him. I support Dame Dash. When Dame Dash was saying, hey, I'm building this gallery in this studio, come out. You know, I was there to support him when people were like, oh, I ain't messing with Dame Dash because he and Jay-Z are beefing. I could not believe I just walked into his studio, sat down the front row, and he just had his whole show and like, this is what we're doing. And he said, if you help me with my dreams, he's learned, if you help me with my dreams, I'll help you with your dreams. And I'm like, damn, what are my dreams? I'm so focused on helping my clients achieve their missions and goals. I forgot about my own. Mm-hmm. So to really grow a media group and to know that there are people like Byron Allen that are fighting on our behalf for us to get more advertisement, all I can do and able to let his efforts not be in vain is to make sure I am open to receiving the billions of dollars that he's fighting for. Mm-hmm. So if he's gonna help unlock more advertising dollars for Black-owned media, then I am repositioning my company as a media group to be able to receive advertisement. So that I'm telling all my media friends that are independent and small, get your ad rate sheets together. We got a brother out there that's advocating for us to get more money. Right. And we do not want these companies to go back and say, well, we just didn't know about Black-owned media and they weren't ready to receive the money. They will give us every excuse. We have to be prepared for success. If you're prepared for success, when that windfall of money and cash comes our way, you're open to receiving and it'll just be easy for you. So knowing that, next week he's going to have what we call a media upfront. Okay. And this is where Black-owned media basically talks about the amazing things that they're doing. I think like a Roland Martin, the CEO of Ebony Magazine, they're going to be saying, hey, Black-owned media needs this. These are the cool things that we're doing. Mm-hmm. If I could just kind of model my media group after that in terms of advertising dollars, I think I'll be open to receiving. So it's just about being prepared to receive the windfall of blessings that is sure to come to us. Mm-hmm. So, but if that money is matriculated and I'm seeing, whoa, he's getting sponsored and he's getting advertising dollars, why aren't I? I have to go and say, what is it that I'm not doing? Mm-hmm. And what is it these brothers and sisters are doing? So we need to look at the ones that are somewhat winning and see and kind of manipulate that in our favor, or maybe replicate that. Right. And I love that Byron Allen is actually approachable and, you know, as a billionaire. And so mentors like that, or people that I just look up to in the industry, they've been great role models for me. And so that keeps me motivated, but I know I still got my own agenda. So just making sure that I got my stuff together, making sure that I'm providing quality content. I took the time during the pandemic to, all right, let me get my YouTube going. I never really invested much into it, or let me start buying some software to make my broadcasts better, or maybe I do need to get on TikTok and open up another revenue stream. So it's mainly just a lot of working on myself, making sure I'm providing the best quality. And, you know, I've learned so much about video editing. I picked up a new skill during the pandemic. I picked up how to do more content gathering and how to follow and chase stories and how to do better interviews. So, you know, I'm just the type of person, I'm gonna turn a negative into a positive.
That's awesome. I love that transmutation of energy, because that's pretty much what it is. I love that.
Absolutely.
And so I just have one more question. If you were to, how do I phrase this? If you were to see yourself in your present moment now and see yourself in the future, what would you want your future self to know, and how would you state that to your future self?
Oh my gosh, I see my future self just taking a nap. You know, hopefully having a workforce that I can delegate more work to, people that I trust, that can carry the load and that understand the vision. So what I'm doing to prepare for that future is just finding like-minded people. Sometimes I don't have to lecture as much when I find people that understand the mission. You know, they understand the assignment. So, right. You know, I find more people that just get it. I encourage people to be independent and to, you know, I don't even like the idea of hiring employees. I like working with independent contractors because maintain your own agency, your own independence. I see it being more collaborative. But for those that just want to work under me, I do see, I would love if my future self could kind of take more of a break and maybe even focus on some other things. My business partner has since ventured off into doing more producing. And so there's so much going on there. So what skills do I have that can translate into something else? You know, look at Oprah Winfrey. She started as a talk show host and now she's got her own channel, but she's still staying true to her media expertise. So I think whatever I can do to kind of translate into something else, and hopefully inspire another generation. I will still, I know as I grow older and wiser, I will still mentor the youth, but I would love to kind of mentor that next generation of business leaders. And I want to build a conglomerate. I want to build where we are just truly a media group. So for the things that I can't do in terms of like owning a magazine, maybe I'll have a really good partnership with a Black-owned magazine, and we all profit share together. I just like to see more of us having common ownership, profit sharing together, and really just building something that is all our own. And so from there, I think that's where we'll really grow, and that's a true legacy, because we're creating new business owners.
Yes, I love that. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. Can you let everyone know where to find you on social media, your website, all that information?
Yes, enter at your own risk. Disclaimer. But on Instagram, it's Team EBMG for LB Media Group. EB Media Group on YouTube and Twitter as well. And if you want to follow me personally, it's Lady Lila Brown. Lady Lila Brown for my TikTok and my Twitter. And that's why I say enter at your own risk, because I'm extremely controversial. I'm very progressive, but I can promise you everything I do is in the name of love. You know, a lot of people say, well, you're kind of tough. And it's because I have very high expectations for us. I really know that we are truly a great people. My expectation for us is so high, but I'm not going to leave you hanging dry. I'm going to encourage you. I'm going to mentor. I'm going to motivate, support, whatever I can do. So for anybody else that I have high expectations for, they know ultimately that I'm going to provide some type of, you know, mentorship or motivation. So.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Thank you.
Thank you. This is great. I just really love just sharing my perspective, and hopefully we will have more strong, courageous business leaders in the future.
Yes, I pray so, because we definitely need it with the way everything's going right now. We definitely need it. Awesome. Thank you so much. And
thank you so much that tuned in.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Glowhood podcast. If you like this episode and would like to see more episodes like this, please subscribe and follow Glowhood by visiting www.glowhood.com, or you can follow us on all social media platforms at Glowhood Podcast. If you would also like to support the show, you can visit our Patreon at patreon.com/glowhood, where you can join for as little as $3 a month. You'll have access to exclusive content like bonus episodes, behind-the-scenes footage, monthly Q&As, and more. Thank you again for your support, and I'll see you on the next episode.